People don't know this. If you have a 401k or you have a 403b or you have something that is sponsored, whether let's say you're a teacher or you work at a hospital or you work just for a regular company, ABC company, or you work for the federal government, you have what's known as a TSP, that's their version of a 401k. You really can't touch that money at all until you're 59 and a half, or you get penalized on that, like if you want to take the money out. But here's the thing that people don't know. At 59 and a half, if you're still working, and a lot of people do not retire at 59 and a half these days, they retire much later, 65, 70. Some people just like to work pretty much all the way through retirement if they can. If you have a 401k or something like that, you're not able to touch that money. You can't even move it into an IRA. Coming up today, we're going to look over 3 major mistakes you might have with your IRA and what you can do right now to fix them. That's coming up. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Truly Diversified. I'm your host, Ben Mohr, and we're going to focus today on your IRA. 3 major things you might be missing with your IRA that you can do today to start making changes to earn more money and have a better retirement. First off, what we want to look at is what's known as an IRA contribution. Some of you may be doing it right now. Others may have just kind of forgotten about it or didn't think it makes that much of a difference to you at the bottom line. The IRS allows you every single year, if you're under the age of 50, to put $7,000 into a contribution. They do what's called a catch-up. If you're over the age of 50, you can do $8,000 a year. Now, if you're married, that means that you and your spouse can put $16,000 a year, $8,000 each in separate IRAs. And this can make a major difference because when it comes for tax time, in April, mid-April, you look at your taxes and realize, geez, I've got a lot of money I've got to pay to the IRS. One way that you can reduce your taxes is by adding money into a contribution into an IRA. So think about it. If you or your spouse both are able to put $8,000 away, that's going to be $16,000 that's going to come off your income. Could be a savings of anywhere between $4,000 and $7,000 in taxes for you that year, because that money is now going to be taken off your income and it will grow tax deferred in your IRA. This is something I tell people they need to do every single year because it's going to relieve your tax burden for the year. Meanwhile, you are able to save that money, put it away for an investment, and let it grow. This is, of course, outside of your 401k, 403b, something like that, a government plan you might have. If you work for a company right now and you have a 401k, this is not part of it. This is creating your own IRA, individual retirement account. If you have a retirement account, IRA on your own already, you can go ahead and contribute that $8,000 a year if you're over 50. Another key thing about this that's great is you can make this year's contribution all the way up to April 15th, tax day. That's right. So let's say next year, February, March, you go and get your taxes done and see that you have some kind of tax burden. You can actually make your contribution that deals with your taxes for 2025. So what's kind of cool is when I meet people who haven't done this before, they'll actually do their contributions twice. So let's take 2026. They might make contributions at the same time for their 2025 plan and their 2026. So if you have a husband and wife, they're not just contributing just $16,000 total, $8,000 each. They could contribute as much as $32,000 at that time. Now that's going to be split over 2 tax periods, but it gives them a chance to put a decent amount of money to get the ball rolling for their IRA right at that moment. So again, contribution is a great idea. Again, $8,000 if you're over the age of 50. Under the age of 50, it's $7,000. And then you can go ahead and put that in. It grows tax deferred in the IRA that you choose to use. And of course, it's going to lessen the amount of money you pay in taxes that year. Now, the second area that I see people where they make mistakes all the time, and this is if you are self-employed, is getting a SEP IRA. What this means is that if you're self-employed, whether you work for yourself or you have a business or you are the sole owner of, let's say, an LLC or a corporation or a partner in a business, you can actually get a much higher amount of money that you can contribute. They allow you to contribute up to $70,000 a year. So anybody I meet who is self-employed or owns a business or is the head of a corporation, this is a no-brainer. Think about it. If you, again, just were able to contribute because you work somewhere else and maybe putting $7,000 or $8,000, you're able now to put 10 times the amount into an IRA every single year. This is huge for you self-employed and business owners because think about this. Tax time comes around and you realize, let's say you've got a decent amount of money, $20,000, $30,000 you owe in taxes. Instead, if you then take $70,000, instead of just giving money to the IRS, you're investing in your future. You're taking that $70,000, putting it into an IRA, and that $70,000 is going to come off your income. And then that's going to probably save you somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 in taxes, depending on where you live. So you can see, you can go ahead and pay the $20,000, $30,000 to the IRS or invest in yourself with the $70,000, put it into an IRA. Then you're not going to pay taxes that year because your tax burden will be less. And now you've put money away for your future self in retirement. And again, that money will be in an IRA and will grow tax deferred while it's in there. So that's another key thing. Again, contributions, if you are working for somebody, up to $8,000. If you work for yourself or have a corporation or something of that nature, you can probably qualify for up to $70,000. So that's something else to think about there. Another key note here is what we call in-service withdrawals. People don't know this. If you have a 401k or you have a 403b or you have something that is sponsored, whether let's say you're a teacher or you work at a hospital or you work just for a regular company, ABC company, or you work for the federal government, you have what's known as a TSP. That's their version of a 401k. You really can't touch that money at all until you're 59 and a half, or you get penalized on that, like if you want to take the money out. But here's the thing that people don't know. At 59 and a half, if you're still working, and a lot of people do not retire at 59 and a half these days, they retire much later, 65, 70. Some people just like to work pretty much all the way through retirement if they can. If you have a 401k or something like that, you're not able to touch that money. You can't even move it into an IRA, right? You have to stick with the plan they have. Go back to one of my previous episodes. We talk about the restrictions in 401ks. They're very costly. There's a lot of fees, and it's very limited on what you can invest in. And usually it's only stock market based. And as you know, the show is called Truly Diversified. We want people to have more options outside the market. So here's the key. In-service withdrawal. If you are over the age of 59 and a half and still working where you have a 401k or a 403b or something like that type of plan, you can do what's known as an in-service withdrawal. At 59 and a half, you are able to take money out of that plan and put it into an IRA tax deferred. There will not be any tax consequence. Why would you do this at 59 and a half? Because you want to be able to control some or all of your money that's been in that 401k where you have only limited options of what to invest in and be able to now broaden your horizons on what you could invest in. So if I meet somebody who's say 60 years old, let's say it's a nurse, and they have a 403b and they've got, let's say, $500,000 in their 403b. Okay, we cover a lot of content on here, and I'm always asked this important question. Where do I start? What is a good first step? Well, if you're looking for a way to diversify your retirement away from market volatility and still get competitive returns, I want you to watch this free on-demand training. In under 30 minutes, I will walk you through the exact strategy that smart and wealthy investors like Warren Buffett have used for decades, and they do it by investing in what's called life settlements. We'll break down how this works, real case studies, and how you can add this market-independent asset class to your portfolio without having to lock it up for 10 to 15 years in some low-performing annuity. You will learn how to build stable, predictable growth and, yes, get true diversification, especially in today's uncertain environment. All you have to do is go to lifeassetllc.com/webinar. Again, that is lifeassetllc.com llc.com/webinar, or you can click on the link below here and watch it now. It is completely free, and I think you'll find it will be a game changer on how you think about investing for your retirement. Okay, now let's get back to the show. What happens at 60 or 59 and a half is they could take $50,000. They could take $100,000, whatever it is. Let's say it's $100,000. We can in-service withdraw $100,000 of that $500,000 and set up a new IRA that allows them to invest in whatever they choose, not just what's being shoved down their throat at work. We do it all the time. So again, if you're over the age of 59 and a half, look into in-service withdrawals. If you are a business owner or a head of a corporation or just self-employed, you got to really start looking at a SEP. And then, of course, if you work somewhere else, you need to start doing your contributions. Yearly, it'll make a big difference. You will save tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime in taxes, and you're investing in yourself. Okay? The final thing here, mistake number 3, is not looking into Roth conversions. And we just had an episode a couple weeks ago. Go check that out where we talk about the difference between contributions to a Roth, which a lot of people can't do because restrictions don't allow them to because they make too much money, versus conversions, which anyone on earth can do a conversion. So you need to look at to Roth conversions. And what we do here with our company is we're able to look at your taxes and determine what is your next level of tax bracket that you would hit. Makes sense? So let's say somebody says to me, hey, if I make another $50,000 in a year, I'm going to be in a different tax bracket. Every dollar after that, I pay a higher tax bracket. We don't want that. Well, that means that you have a ceiling there of $50,000 to play with. So you could convert from a current IRA, or if you're over 59 and a half, from a current 401k, you could convert that to a Roth, pay the taxes on that money at the same tax level you are, and now you have a Roth IRA, and that money goes forward tax-free for life. So again, contributions on your IRAs, SEP contributions up to $70,000 if you're self-employed, looking at in-service withdrawals if you're over the age of 59 and a half, so you can get that money away from the 401k or the 403b and in your control in your own IRA to decide what you want to invest in, hence the show here today being truly diversified, and then looking into Roth conversions, seeing how much you have to play with within your taxes to go ahead and move that money over and get some money for you ready so that when you are in retirement, that money is tax-free. Now, why do I tell all of you this? Because if you look at each of these situations, it's getting you away from the cookie cutter 401ks and allowing you to put money into IRAs where you can have the options to invest in anything you want. In previous shows, we've talked to people at IRA Club about self-directed IRAs. That's where I would say to put your money so you can invest outside the market. Invest with someone like us, where you can invest in something like life settlements, right? Which allows you more options to stay away from the market. Look, if you have a 401k right now, all the money that's in that 401k is probably invested in the market. You don't need to set up IRAs to invest more in the market. That doesn't make sense. You need to start finding investments outside the market where there's no stock market risk with competitive returns. On one of our previous episodes, we had Barry Neal on here who runs a life settlement company. This year alone, he's paid out his investors $5 million with double-digit returns. So they're making currently stock market-like returns with no stock market risk. This is why you would set up these plans to look at something like life settlements or something else if you can find it that's going to give you competitive returns at the same time not putting it back into the market where probably your 401k or 403b already has money, and not looking at something like the snugly safe approach that your insurance guy or your bank person tries to tell you, because you will make 3 times more money most likely investing in something like life settlements or even possibly the market than you are going to be shoving it into a CD, which then just gets crushed by inflation. Now, should you have some safe money? Yes, but you don't set up IRAs to put safe money in. You set up IRAs to try to make as much money as you can without stock market risk, because here's the thing. All of the money you make in that is tax deferred. You're not taxed on those gains until you take the money out later in life. So you're just compounding and compounding the money. So again, to review, look at IRA contributions up to $8,000 if you're over 50. If you work for yourself, self-employed, you can put up to $70,000 in contributions. If you're over the age of 59 and a half, contact us. We'll talk to you about in-service withdrawals. And finally, you really got to look at the power of the Roth on a conversion. It's an easy situation to look at. It's just math. Do you have wiggle room in your tax situation to make it happen and get that money to be tax-free? And with us here at Truly Diversified, we always say, stick to the keys for the investing here, which is no stock market risk, competitive returns. And here, as we always say, you want to make sure that you have three things when you're doing this type of investing to be truly diversified. That is, number one, no stock market risk. Number two, competitive returns. Make sure that you are able to outpace inflation. So that's going to be it for today. Quick episode. Just want to give you those tips. If you're not doing any of these, you need to start implementing them now. You can come to us. We can sit down with you and talk to you about how this works. You can go to our website, lifeassetllc.com, to see what we're about, see what we offer. And of course, just review your IRAs constantly to make sure that you are touching all aspects to get the most bang for your buck out of your IRAs. Don't just sit back and be lazy and let some advisor take care of it. You need to be in control of your money and make sure that you're truly diversified. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.